Well, this video was almost over before it even began. Did you just see the wind pick up the inflatable spray booth, throw it into the roof of the barn, which is made of metal, and it came out unscathed? I can't believe it, but that's definitely a testament to how strong this thing is. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. I'm Samcrac, and today we are going to perfect a professional automotive paint finish at home in a very unconventional fashion, utilizing our inflatable spray booth and a turbine-based paint sprayer. Now, in the past, I've told you guys and I've told myself that I never ever plan on painting anything on a car, whether it's just a bumper or an entire car. I thought it'd be too difficult to accomplish. That's the wrong way of going about things. You never know what sort of skill you can pick up if you don't try. And as you're about to see, it actually worked out quite a bit easier than I thought. Now, today's video sponsor is all about learning new skills and brushing up on your existing ones, and that is Skillshare.com, one of the greatest online resources with classes and pretty much any topic you could think of that might interest you.
Check out this one, which shows you how to take professional style photos using just an iPhone. And I personally took this class and really enjoyed it. It taught me how to sketch and design a car just using a pen and a piece of paper. With literally thousands of classes in business, technology, arts, science, you name it, there's something for everyone.
Skillshare is also extremely affordable. Annual memberships come in at under $10 a month. And if you use my link in the description box below to sign up, the first 500 people to register will get their first 2 months of Skillshare Premium absolutely free. Big thanks to Skillshare for empowering those who are thirsty for knowledge and sponsoring this video.
Look at all the leaves on the ground. The leaves are blowing. The wind is blowing. It's a really windy day, so the only way we're going to accomplish this is definitely with the inflatable booth. And even though the inflatable booth looks like it's moving a good amount, you can see there are 6 stakes, 3 on each side, holding it down. So I'm pretty confident it's been held there. It's been blowing for a couple hours now and it hasn't fallen down. So it's time to get inside and check everything out. I've sprayed base coat on this front bumper several times. If you remember the last time I did it, I didn't have the panel prepped appropriately. So now I've went ahead and sanded everything back down with a 600 grit until everything was smooth and all the blemishes were gone. One light, even coat of base should take care of any issues and fill in those light patches. Now we've got to mix our paint and hook up our paint system. I've mentioned several times before that we'll be using this, a turbine-based paint system, to spray the panels on our Porsche. But before we talk about it, I want to just show you the standard setup that most body shops and most people know when it comes to spraying paints. This is a compressor fitted with an air line that runs to our bargain tool shop paint gun right there. In between the line and the gun, there's a pressure regulator, which is this little turn valve right here. It lets you know how much pressure you're putting through the gun. And then there's a moisture filter that you connect to that to make sure that you don't get any moisture in your paint. I want to let you know that this is not a paid promotion for this turbine-based system. It's just that I was so intrigued when I saw them. I reached out to the manufacturer, which is named Apollo, and I asked them if they had something that would be a solution to my issues, you know, being able to paint ideally a whole car, but really bumpers and individual panels. And they recommended to me this system, which is distributed through a company called Eastwood. When we got together, they agreed to provide this system and any sort of materials I might need to paint these bumpers. So I want to thank both Apollo and Eastwood for arranging this. And I think it's pretty bold of them to allow me to test it out, because when you're a novice painter, a lot of things could go wrong. Again, this is considered a smaller size compressor. And then look at our turbine system. It's like the size of a toaster oven. We're going to be able to paint using just this box, and it's really simple. There's a power cord right there. There's an on-off switch right there. There's no pressure settings. This stays at a consistent pressure the entire time you're painting. And then the air hose comes out of the left side there and runs into the gun that I'm going to show you, and also comes with this kit. This is the gun that comes with the turbine system. I know it's really dirty, but that's because I've been using it. Right here on the end, that is your fan adjustment knob. And then you've got your fluid adjustment knobs on the back here. The only other difference is that, well, it comes with a metal cup as opposed to the plastic cup like some other cheaper setups. And it's got this little pressure fitting on the end here because the contents inside the can are under pressure while you're using it.
Our turbine-based system eliminates a lot of the issues that come with at-home painting, and I think it makes a lot of sense to DIYers. The fact that it warms the air before it travels through the gun means that there's no moisture in the lines and you don't have to have a moisture filter. It stays at a consistent PSI, so you're not monitoring how much pressure your compressor is putting out. Of course, the form factor being so small. Now, as long as it puts out a professional style finish, I think it will be an amazing solution. And it does come at a price. It's about $1,300 for this entire setup. However, if you compare that to a decently rated gun as well as a decently rated compressor, that will cost substantially more than $1,300, and you run into those other logistical issues. But the real story, I think, comes with when you compare it to how much professional paint work costs. For my two bumpers, both of them needed some sort of repair because there was a dent in one and there was a crack in the other. That was about $100, $150 a piece from my local body shop just to repair them. Then to finish them in base coat, clear coat, two-stage paint cost another $500 each. So we're looking at a bill around $1,200, $1,300 to complete these bumpers. And all the material that I sourced from Eastwood and also all the paint that I bought at the local paint match store combined cost around $250-ish in total.
Before bringing the bumper into the booth, I washed it with dish soap. I think it's important to use something without any waxes in it. Then I shot it with some wax and grease remover, wiped it down, and the last step was to wipe it down with a tack cloth. There's multiple steps here that seem like they're redundant, but they're all an insurance policy to make sure that your finish is near perfect when it's done. Base coat laid down pretty well, albeit I was a little heavy-handed. I waited about 25 minutes, then went and mixed the clear coat. Man, this one didn't turn out so well. I noticed as soon as the clear started hitting the paint that some dots started forming on the surface. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of fish eyes, which are caused by contaminants on or in the paint. It's basically a dot that is surrounded by the paint. That dot is where the paint wouldn't stick. But my problem was different. It's something called solvent pop. After you spray your base coat, you gotta allow time for the solvents in it to evaporate before spraying your clear. I didn't wait long enough, and so when those solvents try to escape from out under the clear, they create those little pockets or dips. And so now we've got to go back to sanding this smooth and get rid of all those little spots. Once we do, we'll be able to either go back to spraying some base and clear, or hopefully just clear. It's only going to be a moment for you to find out what we end up having to do. It's going to take me a little bit of time to sand it, so let me get to it. So this area I've been wet sanding for a good amount of time, and it's highlighting where those pops were. Now if I actually run my finger across it here, I can feel the little divot in the paint. And so these are being minimized, but the thing is we got to treat this like it's a spot treatment and hit every single one individually to get them to level out. I haven't burned through the clear yet, so far so good. We're going to find out here in a moment. I'm going to show you what this looks like by the time I'm done sanding it. This is the same exact area I just showed you. I've been using 1,000 grit sandpaper on every individual little issue. And look at how nice it's turned out. It's nice and smooth. Yeah, you might see some dirt and dust specks like right here, but there are no more solvent pop issues just in this section. So got to take care of the rest of this bumper and we'll be ready to re-clear it. For insurance, and I'm learning that insurance is very important when you're painting, we are going to do one light base coat, just one. The base coat is all intact pretty much everywhere, but I want to make sure everything is perfect. Then we will let it dry. I'm going to give it at least a couple hours because it is a little cooler outside, probably about 75 degrees right now. And then we will clear it and we will finally be done with our bumper. I shot one last light coat of base and it came out really nice, really smooth. I could tell that I was starting to get the hang of this. And here's what it looked like immediately after clear, with the clear still a little bit wet. And thankfully, we have no major issues. Got a little bit of waiting before we can sand and polish our front bumper. We're going to do that to the rear bumper in just a moment because I painted it a few days ago and it's ready. But quickly, I want to clean up the inflatable spray booth before I store it. It's always important to keep a clean booth. One of the things that I learned about the spray booth that I didn't know before is that it actually comes apart in sections. You see the front door to it is removed. It's Velcroed in place, and the entire floor is also Velcroed in place. Before, when I was spraying the floor, I was pulling it up in sections, trying trying to shimmy it out one way or another. Well, now I just detach it where the closest puddle of water is and just pull up and get the water right out of it. After I was done getting the big puddles of water out, I just let it stand for another couple hours. It's pretty warm outside, and I blew it out using a turbine-based leaf blower. So here's the back side of the spray booth. There's this little zipper right here. And the second you open it, there it goes. Oh, we gotta shut the fan off too. This is what the rear bumper looked like a few days ago, right after it came out of the paint booth with that fresh clear. Really nice, really glossy, and the sun was out so you could really see that metallic shine. On camera, the sun does hide a little bit of that texture, so we went ahead and sanded this with a combination of 1500 then 2000 grit sandpaper. I then took some polishing compound, a polishing pad, and a rotary buffer, and buffed it out as best as I could, but since it is a bumper, it's got a lot of angles, I switched to the hand polisher that helped me get in some of the little crevices. The clear on the front bumper is still hardening, so we're going to wait overnight before we cut and polish this. You can see it's pretty textured, but it's going to look as good as the rear bumper when we're finished with it. The rear bumper looked very similar. Now check out the shine, the clarity, the smoothness of this. There is still a tiny bit of peel in this, but that's okay because there's a tiny bit of peel in the factory paint. I mean, look at that. Would you imagine that we were able to accomplish this at home? This is amazing. I love the way this bumper turned out.
How many times have you heard me say you can accomplish anything with the right tools and the proper guidance? I got to give a big thanks to Mr. Jake Lasada, a professional painter from up north who really helped me correct a lot of the mistakes I was having while I was painting. I was using a lot of wrong materials, a lot of wrong technique, but he made me a substantially better painter in the course of just a couple weeks. Also want to thank V-Tune from V-Tune's Garage here on YouTube. He gave me some great guidance when it came to fixing these bumpers. Remember, both of them were damaged and we brought them back from the dead, saving us a lot of money. Also Apollo and Eastwood for providing the turbine-based sprayer so we could show it in today's video. Huge thanks to Skillshare again for being a continued sponsor of the channel. Remember, you don't know what skills you're capable of until you try them. And I want to thank each and every one of you for watching today. If you're not already following me on Instagram, you can go right here. Just click the link in the description box below where you'll see Porsche 911 build stuff before it shows up here on YouTube. And this car is truly almost finished now that our bumpers are finally painted. Guys, thank you again for watching today, and I will catch you very soon.